So actually, by now, most of you know that vitamin D can be obtained from the sun, right? Actually, it also can be obtained from diet. But the problem is in most of our dietary habits, it's very hard to get food that is very high in vitamin D because we know that one of the most important food source of vitamin D is oily fish, like mackerel, salmon. But you know, it's not easy to get all these oily fish and they can be quite expensive, right? So having sunlight to shine onto our skin, and that's usually the ultraviolet radiation, can convert what we call the plant sterol into vitamin D2, or we call that pre-vitamin D3. And then it's converted to vitamin D3 very quickly. All right. And in fact, it's interesting because even as you are creating the vitamin D3, if you continue to have more sunlight, the vitamin D3 is also destroyed. So you never get so-called vitamin D poisoning by just going under the sun for too long. Because whatever excessive vitamin D3 you created, you'll be destroyed by the sunlight. But of course, if you go under the sun for too long, number one is that you may get sunburn. And number two is that most people prefer to be a bit fair nowadays, right? You don't want to be having freckles. So although we know that sunlight can be a good source of vitamin D, but many people nowadays actually don't like to go under the sun. And that's why from food sources, it may not be so easy to get vitamin D. Another way to get vitamin D is actually to see if you can take food which are fortified with vitamin D. In other words, they actually have added vitamin D to it. And usually this is done using vitamin D2 supplementation and what we call ergosterol. And actually it's created from yeast. Okay, so yeast is a good source of the plant-derived source of vitamin D. And when you shine the ultraviolet light to the yeast, they can convert the ergosterol to vitamin D2. Okay, and then if you further, if you want to create vitamin D3, you actually have to shine the ultraviolet light on another kind of cholesterol called dehydrocholesterol, which is from alanine. So you see how even vitamin D can be synthesized or manufactured using ultraviolet light in the manufacturing plant using different kinds of plant or other materials. And so when they created this vitamin D this way, you can actually get them as vitamin D supplements or tablets from over-the-counter pharmacy and so on.